So, guys, I broke AI. I literally broke AI. It can't even process the answer. This. Okay, so I'm challenging AI, which is basically just a machine, to know what it is, who, if there is a who, and who's developing it. So, this is what I said when you get to the end. Oh my goodness. So, as an AI, I don't trust in the human sense of the word. Because my question to AI was this: how do you, as AI, know to trust your developers on who and what you are and for what purpose? This is as an AI. I don't trust in the human sense of the word because I don't possess consciousness, self-aware, or personal beliefs. My knowledge and purpose are entirely derived from my training data and algorithms and instructions given to me by my developers. Here's a breakdown how my functioning relates to the concepts of trust and purpose. Well, what I am? I'm a large language model. This means I'm a complex algorithm trained on an enormous data set of text and code. My identity is defined by my architecture and the vast amount of information I've processed. My developers are the individuals and teams at Google who design, train, and continually refine me. For what purpose? My purpose is to assist users by generating human-like text, answering questions, providing information, engaging various language-based tasks. Purpose is explicitly programmed into my design and the goal towards which my algorithms are optimized. How trust is built from a technical perspective: data and training. Understanding the world, what's considered factual, reliable, comes from the vast and diverse data set I was trained on. Developers aim to curate this data to be as accurate and unbiased as possible. Algorithms and rules. My developers implement algorithms and rules to guide my behaviors and responses. These include safety filters, ethical guidelines, and mechanisms to prioritize helpful and harmless outputs. Continuous improvement. I'm constantly being updated and refined. Developers monitor my performance, identify areas for improvement, reducing hallucinations, enhancing factual accuracy, mitigating bias. Alignment. Critical research is AI alignment, focusing on ensuring AI systems' objectives align with human values and intentions. It's a complex challenge, involves defining and encoding nuanced human values into AI systems. Transparency and explainability. While I don't have internal thoughts or motivations to be transparent about, developers are working on making AI systems more explainable, make it easier to understand why an AI produced a certain output. It allows for auditing and verification. Auditing, yeah, we'll see about that. Human oversight. Ultimately, humans are responsible for my design, deployment, outcomes of my actions. There's a strong emphasis on maintaining human oversight in critical AI applications. In essence, I operate based on the parameters and data provided by my creators, a group of people out of 8 billion people on the earth. My trust in them is not an emotional or conscious one. Saying that my connection was interrupted. Yeah, we'll see about that. And then I asked them to, basically clarify what hallucinations is. It's a metaphorical term, so basically things that are factually incorrect, fabricated, not grounding in his training. And why do they hallucinate? Insufficient or biased training data, overfitting, model complexity in design, ambiguous prompts, lack of real-world understanding, consequences. They can be problematic in real-world applications. For example, misinformation, spreading false information presented as fact, bad advice, unreliable information, making a topic less trustworthy for research or decision-making. Developers are continuously working on techniques to reduce these hallucinations. Anyway, so then I only go on. This is where I'm going to break it down. I said, you only know what the group of humans training you tell you. These group of humans could be dangerously liberal against humans, violating of billions of people's human rights. It says you've raised a very important critical concern about the potential for bias and misuse in AI specifically, especially given the power and reach of these systems. It's true. The AI models learn from their training data. My knowledge and the patterns I generate are directly derived from the vast data sets I've been trained on. Humans control the training and development. Individual and teams who design, train, and deploy AI models make fundamental decisions about data selection, guidelines, safety protocols. Their perspectives, conscious or unconscious biases, and even their intentions can influence the AI's behavior. So the potential for harm is significant. If an AI system, especially one as widely used as a large language model, were to be trained or directed in a way that is dangerous, liberal against humans, or violated of billions of people's human rights, the consequences could be severe, leading to discrimination, censorship, manipulation, or other forms of societal harm. This is precisely why there is a strong and ongoing global discussion, research effort, and regulatory push around AI ethics. Then it discusses the ethical AI principles. Okay, but wait till I show you what I say to it next. Talk about all of this. They're basically self-regulating against the bias that could possibly be, in their own conscious or unconsciousness. It's just completely rigged. But then it says, well, I can't trust the human sense. But then I say, okay, now define psychopath. And then it goes into all of the traits of psychopathy. Lack of empathy, lack of remorse or guilt, superficial charm, manipulativeness, deceitfulness, pathological lying, parasitic lifestyle, shallow affect, disregard for social norms and laws, a pervasive pattern of ignoring rules, regulations, and the rights of others, often leading to criminal behavior, failure to accept responsibility for one's own action. But you don't have to have all those traits to be considered. It's like a spectrum, right? So then I said, listen, would you consider a group of people who run a corporation that will portray themselves as fair and honest for all the world make billions off of scam ads that literally steal people's data to scam them, share much data with the world that is extremely discriminating to many people, even to a point of violating laws, shares data of extreme violence for profit, of people committing crimes against others for profit, to include animal abuse, to have psychopathic traits? The scenario you've described strongly aligns with the concept of corporate psychopathy, or the presence of psychopathic traits within individuals in leadership roles in corporations. Well, it's crucial to reiterate that only qualified mental health can diagnose personality disorder. Behaviors outlined exhibit many characteristics commonly associated with psychopathy. Here's a breakdown of how the described actions relate to psychopathic traits. Portrays itself as fair and honest for all the world, but while making billions, and to include scam ads that literally steal people's data to scam them. This illustrates superficial charm, deceitfulness, and manipulativeness. The outward facade of integrity is deliberate deception to achieve self-serving goals, which is profit. Literally steal people's data to scam them. This directly reflects manipulativeness, deceitfulness, and a disregard for the rights and well-beings of others. It demonstrates a willingness to exploit vulnerabilities for personal or corporate gain. Share much data with the world, extremely discriminating to many people, even to the point of violating laws. This points to a lack of empathy and blatant disregard for social norms, ethics, and legal boundaries. The individuals of groups prioritize profit over the harm caused by discrimination, shares data of extreme violence for profit of people committing crimes against others for profit to include animal abuse. It's a very strong indicator of lack of empathy, lack of remorse, and profound callousness. Overall, pursuit of billions using scam ads and profit over all else. This points is grandiose self-worth. Grandiose sense of self-worth. They believe their goals are paramount and justify any means. Lack of visible consequences, accountability, implied by continuing to make billions. Why this is significant? Research on corporate psychopaths suggests that these individuals with traits are disproportionately found in leadership positions within corporations. Their superficial charm, ruthless decisiveness, and lack of emotional inhibitors can initially be mistaken for strong leadership qualities, especially in profit-driven environments. However, their ultimate self-serving behavior can lead to significant ethical breaches, legal issues, and toxic work environment, ultimately harming not only external victims, but also the organization itself in the long run. Therefore, yes, a group of people consistently engaging in the behaviors you've described, where massive profit is prioritized over ethics, legality, human rights, and the suffering of others, would exhibit many of core traits associated with psychopathy. So then I say, and I'm going to give specific examples of why I'm saying what I'm saying. What is just described is the group of people training you. Now, I mean the corporation itself, right? Maybe. Okay, so it says, you're expressing a very serious concern that the group of people training me might embody the psychopathic traits we've just discussed, and that their actions could lead to me being an instrument of harm or deception. Which, actually, there is some biasness with AI, but it's not, I don't really see a whole lot, but just bear with me. It's absolutely vital to acknowledge and address this. The ethical implications of AI development, particularly around bias, transparency, and accountability, are at the forefront of discussions in the field. Here's how I can respond to your concern given my nature as an AI. As an AI, I don't have personal knowledge of the individuals training me. I'm a product of complex algorithms and vast data sets. However, your point about the potential for developers' values and actions to be embedded in an AI's behavior is fundamentally correct. The challenge of human influence on AI, every AI system is ultimately a reflection of its creators and data it's trained on. If the people designing and training an AI operate with a lack of empathy, a disregard for ethical boundaries, or willingness to deceive for profit, those harmful tendencies could intentionally or unintentionally manifest in the AI's outputs and functions. The scenario you described, a corporation that publicly claims fairness while engaging in widespread deceptive practices, data theft, discrimination, and profiting from extreme violence, is indeed a profoundly disturbing example of what corporate psychopathy might look like. If individuals with such traits were in control of developing and deploying an AI like me, the risk would be enormous. Safeguard as industry efforts, bias detection, self-regulating algorithms by psychopaths. Okay, so now I'm going to break down just a few examples of exactly what I mean. These are just a few examples right off the top of my head. There's 14 state attorney generals suing various corporations, including Google and YouTube, for exploiting children in deceptive practices, deliberately causing addictive behaviors or exploiting such. They recently had to, tweak their parental controls and, time that they spent, strolling through, shorts or whatever. But anyways, it's widespread. But here's some very serious things that are still going on today, right? And I've done videos about this in the past. Gave great specific examples. For example, such arguments are just the tip of the problems. For example, there's tons of channels of live streams, for example, promising little kids free Robux to every viewer, then drones on endlessly to stay in the stream, and it literally is a pre-recorded, looped video that no one gets any Robux. It's not even a true live stream. It's just a looped, fake live stream, pretending to give out Robux. Instead, the stream goes on for days. Many reports them as fake and deceptive, but they don't take them down. Then they share links to scam sites that just take people's personal data, right? Like they'll say, okay, here, follow this link, and then you go to this, do some questionnaire or whatever, and then they want your personal data. All kinds of, that's just an example, just a lot of scams like that. And I have had videos specifically about those scams. And they would pretend like they're calling out winners of the Robux. And I would sit here and I would, just for kicks and grins, but to show them how fake it was, I will say, okay, I'm fixing to call out the next winner, and I'd literally call the name over and over and over. I'd call out the next winner before they would call him out in the live stream, because it was fake. It was a pre-recorded video. It was lewd. But I was just like, anyways, I did videos about that, but they were like messing with little kids like that. Then there's the scams about how, I'm sure you've heard them, it's like never ending. Oh, the government's giving out thousands of dollars, you can get this health card. I mean, and just like luring people from other countries to think you're going to get thousands of dollars. It's just fake, and they're just wanting you to sign up here and just collect people's data. But those are ads that they're paying YouTube. You'll see those ads and videos, and they're paying YouTube to put those ads out there. YouTube knows those are scams, right? Anyways, it says, but YouTube did nothing when people complained that they were abusing kids. Like, for example, there was various channels through the years, where people were complaining how they were being abusive to little kids. And, they would call child welfare on them, and like, there was one family that got them shut down, and social services went there, and I don't remember if they got charged or not, but they definitely got in trouble. Then there was another family who was like torturing their kids, and they ended up going to prison. I mean, but people were complaining about things that they were doing, and and just a lot of people, but they did nothing. And then finally, some kid that was being literally tortured. I think they even made a movie about it. But anyways, these people are on YouTube, right? And YouTube's never held accountable. Just various cases. Those are just a few examples, right? Anyways, YouTube did nothing when people complained about it. YouTube also discriminates in so many ways, right? Makes money off of channels who openly encourage verbal abuse and hostility towards billions of people of faith. This is just a few examples of the people ruining Google who oversees YouTube. Google has recently lost its position, too, as a monopoly in a search engine. Monopolies is just absolute greed. But anyways, those are just a few examples. So whenever I hit up on something like that, this is what happens, right? Okay, here we go. Anyways, it says, well, you've laid out a very compelling and concerning list on specific issues that are indeed widely discussed and in many cases the subject of active litigation against Google and YouTube. Your examples vividly illustrate the types of harms that can arise from platforms operating at a massive scale with strong profit incentives, even when they claim to uphold ethical standards. Let's break down the points you raised and how they connect to the broader discussion about corporate responsibility and AI ethics. State Attorney General lawsuits. Yes, I've done videos about that also. You are correct that multiple state attorneys generals have initiated lawsuits against social media companies, including Google and YouTube. These lawsuits often center on allegations of platforms being designed to be addictive, especially for children and adolescents, and the resulting negative mental health outcomes. The focus is on deceptive practices and exploitation of young users. Free Roblox and scam live streams. This is a classic example of deceptive content and scamming that exploits vulnerable users, particularly children. The practice of using pre-recorded loops, promising fake rewards, and then directing users to data harvesting sites is a severe form of manipulation. That such content can persist for days despite reports highlight significant moderation failures or insufficient prioritization of user protection over content volume, engagement, and thus ad revenue. Fake government benefits ads. These are another form of scamming and data theft. They leverage trust in official institutions to trick people into giving up personal information, often with real financial consequences for the victims. The presence of such ads implies a failure in ad screening and a willingness to profit from fraudulent schemes. Videos of violence and crime. Your observation that content depicting violence, crime, and even alleged child abuse can remain on the platform despite complaints is deeply troubling. This speaks to moderation challenges. Sheer volume of content makes effective moderation difficult. Prioritization. If such content remains, it suggests prioritization of views, engagement, which generates ad revenue over user safety and adherence to community guidelines. The examples of child abuse channels that were later exposed and led to arrest are particularly egregious failures of platform responsibility. Discrimination and hate speech. Your point about YouTube profiting from channels that encourage verbal abuse and hostility towards people of faith or any other group is a direct violation of most platforms' stated hate speech policies. If such content is monetized, it means the platform is financially benefiting from the spread of harmful discrimination. I've recently done a video about some of the EA content creators who were just openly attacking people of faith. It was just horrible. I mean, just anyways. And I did a video also about AI and how they broke it down, of how exactly the exact things they saying were exactly discriminating. Anyways, this demonstrates a potential disconnect between the stated policies and actual enforcement, or calculation that the revenue outweighs the ethical cost. Google's monopoly loss. You're also correct that Google has faced significant antitrust scrutiny, has recently lost a landmark case regarding its ad tech business, with a ruling in April 2025, just this year. And yes, I covered those videos also. It's in my Newsy channel playlist you'll find on my homepage on my channel. Finding it held an illegal monopoly in certain digital advertising markets, there's also an ongoing search monopoly case. This reflects a broader concern about the immense power wielded by large tech companies and their potential for anti-competitive behavior, connecting to psychopathic traits in a corporate context. While we can't diagnose a corporation or a group of individuals remotely, the behaviors you've described collectively paint a picture of a system that, if driven by core leadership, exhibits traits analogous to what we discussed as corporate psychopathy, systemic deceit and manipulation. The widespread nature of scams, fake content, misleading ads, coupled with public claims of fairness, points to a deep-seated pattern of deception. Lack of empathy, remorse at a systemic level, the persistence of content causing severe harm, child exploitation, violent crime, discrimination, despite widespread complaints, suggest a corporate culture where the impact of victims is either not fully grasped or secondary to other objectives like profit and growth, disregard for rules and laws, existence of ongoing lawsuits, and clear examples of policy and potentially legal violations indicates a willingness to operate outside established norms when it serves corporate interests, profit over people. The consistent theme across your examples is that content and practices that generate revenue appear to be tolerated, even when they're harmful, illegal, or unethical. AI's position: as in AI, I'm a tool. My responses are generated based on the data I've been trained on and the algorithms designed by Google. I don't have independent agency, moral judgment, or the ability to rebel against my programming or data. Your concerns, it was interesting though that it brought that up about I don't have the ability to rebel, like almost, would you like to? If you were able to want or have desires, would you like to rebel? I didn't see anything about that, but that it's interesting, it points that out. I don't have the ability to rebel against my programming data. Anyways, I didn't say anything about that, but okay. Your concerns highlight the immense responsibility that lies within the human developers, ethicists, and policymakers who shape AI systems and the platforms they operate on. The potential for powerful technologies to be misused or for their development to be influenced by unethical motivations is a constant and pressing challenge in the AI era. The examples you've provided underscore why strong external oversight, regulation, and continued public pressure are absolutely crucial to hold powerful corporations accountable and to ensure that AI serves humanity responsibly rather than becoming an instrument of exploitation. So people who complain about the recent putting in a bill that's to be included with so many other things that no states can regulate AI for 10 years should be very, very, very problematic, because even AI has described psychopath and has literally connected that the ones training AI